Alright. Time for some AEW Dynamite. Light the fuse, because WrestlePlug is going to cover AEW Dynamite. I am, of course, Aeron, the harbinger of professional wrestling and your owner and host of the WrestlePlug. So don't forget to like, subscribe, leave comments below. Let us know what you thought of Dynamite, and most importantly, make sure you hit the bell icon so you can get all notifications of future content. AEW Dynamite opening up with Lance Archer running over... who? Exactly. Nobody gives a shit, frankly. I was trying to work out who the guy was. Alan, do you know what? Don't care. Some scrub got murdered by Lance Archer in record time. That, for me, is what I was on about last week with Marco Stunt. That's the kind of match I wanted to see. This guy was bigger than Marco Stunt and got murdered in an eighth of the time. Don't waste time when it comes to scrubs, when it comes to smaller people. Have Lance Archer run him over. Enough said. I know everyone's smaller than Lance Archer, at least the majority of the roster. But by the way, can we just take a moment to think about Brody Lee versus Lance Archer down the road? Yeah, I'm all about that meaty hospital, because as everybody knows, #Aeron loves meaty horse battles. Yeah, great stuff. Also, Chris Jericho on comms with Tony Schiavone, and from the get-go, they were hilariously good fun. The women's matchup, Britt Baker, who I apparently am told is a dentist, mind blown. She faced Hikaru Shida, who is the red-hot favourite in the women's division right now. Talk about the flavour of the year. 2020's breakout star in the women's division for AEW, Hikaru Shida, putting in so much work, consistently getting wins. Great record coming into this match. 7 out of 8 of her last matches she's won. I think she's a star. I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast. I think Hikaru Shida is ready to be the next big thing. I'm really excited about what she brings to the table, what she can do, what she can potentially be for the company. Not to mention the fact, obviously, being Japanese, being from Katagawa, Japan, having that opportunity to extend the international relationship of AEW, hopefully open some doors for places like Stardom and NJPW in the future. Very exciting time. Love Jericho on commentary during this match, going on about shiny things, calling him Schiavone, making shitty references to the fact that Britt Baker has obviously got this kind of blossoming relationship with Tony Schiavone, should I say. Not entirely sure what kind of relationship, but it is actually good fun. And now that they've kind of worked out that Britt Baker isn't a #1 contender and a main event level star in that women's division, at least not yet, she's starting to find a place nicely. I'm quite positive on her. At the start, I thought, not great. In-ring work was a little bit sloppy at times. Her matches seemed to be a bit shady, but she's obviously a very beautiful person, got a great look. She's a good worker with the right people, and she's definitely improving, and working with people like Hikaru Shida week in and week out is going to help that. Love the moment in the match when they threw Hikaru Shida. She threw Hikaru Shida into the barrier, and Tony Schiavone went, "Hey, look, there's Danny Jordan." Chris Jericho's like, "Who the hell is Danny Jordan? He's a stupid idiot." It was like, actually, that's a she. Shut up, Schiavone. It's just really good fun, really hilarious, really funny, really entertaining. It's lovely as well. I like the fact that they're brave enough to say, every week, let's have somebody different on comms. Let's mix things up. Whether it be Cody. Colt Cabana was excellent, by the way. Colt Cabana has had a lot of commentary experience, not only obviously being a podcaster and that, but actually, on set, Ring of Honor, he spent quite a bit of time with, I believe it's Ian Riccoboni as the kind of colour commentator, and he's got a very natural, funny charisma, which lends itself beautifully to commentary. And ultimately, it was great to see a really hard-fought, high-level women's matchup. One of my biggest critiques of Britt Baker is that she can be a bit sloppy in the ring, and that a lot of her matches can be a bit, at the best of times. This was not the case. She was in there with a seasoned veteran, somebody who really works well, and I feel like Hikaru Shida, once again, she reminds me of Asuka, not because of the Japanese thing, but because of the work rate, because of the fact that whoever she gets in the ring with, she gets the best out of them. They look better. Hikaru Shida is a specimen. She's got a great look in her own right, and this was definitely one of the best matches I've seen out of Britt Baker. Oh man, Britt Baker got colour, and when I say colour, she got busted wide open. I think the nose was broken. Blood fauceting. It was fucking cool. Let's be honest, right? Excuse me, one of the things that wrestling is missing is colour, is blood. That crazy ass nature about wrestling of like, remember the old days when Ric Flair was getting colored like Wild and Randy Savage and Hulk? Everyone was blading all over the place. This wasn't blading, this was natural and it was organic, and that's what made it so cool. Man, she fucked her up. This was, for me, Britt Baker's best match I've ever seen, period. Especially singles match. Absolutely phenomenal. I cannot get over it. Hikaru Shida picks up the win, but I've got a lot more respect for Britt Baker after this. And what I loved was the fact that she used the blood to her advantage. They carried on playing into the scenario. And I love that. The fact that like she had the dentist kind of submission on, and she, normally she puts her hand in there, of course, kind of like a mandible claw style thing. And obviously she didn't want to do that with the blood flying around. So she was like, give me the glove. And she's like putting on the glove. And of course that offered Sheeta the respite and the opportunity to get out of it and eventually get the win. Also that hench little fireman's carry, where she gave her the drop down fireman's carry onto the top turnbuckle. That was sick. This match was fantastic. One of the best women's matches I think AEW's ever had. I'm not just living in a moment. I'm not being over the top. This is legitimately my match of the year, I would say, right now in the women's division. It's definitely up there. I think this match was really good. Probably Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair pips it right now so far. I know it's early doors and we've got plenty of time to go, but this really was special. It's definitely, for me, the best women's match I've seen so far this year for AEW. Utterly fantastic. Nothing but rave reviews over that. Thought it was wonderful. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Kenny Omega and Nakazawa, not so much. I don't know what it is about that relationship. So they're backstage and Orange Cassidy comes out of nowhere. They're in this trailer and then best friends are angry. Like, oh, you think you're best friends? Oh, it's all on the line. And they're going to apparently put the name on the line. And it's a bit too cheesy for me. I'm used to Kenny Omega going out there and having these 60-minute classics. Going out there and working with the best wrestlers in the world. Chris Jericho and Okada. And they're like, not so much watching him wrestle with his best mate Nakazawa. And I know Nakazawa had, a good time of it in DDT, but it just doesn't work for me. It's not for me, I've got to be honest. I know it's a shell shocker, but yeah, I'm not interested in Nakazawa. However, in all the backstage nonsense they had, there was some, the off-camera promos and things like that. There was a great amount of time that was given towards builds. Next week, we're getting Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Heavyweight Championship against Jake Hager, the undefeated Jake Hager, which is good because I understand why he's number one in the rankings. We saw the rankings. I could take those to task, probably do a separate YouTube video on that. But for me, the build for this match actually had me intrigued. I've got to say, before I watched this video, I didn't really care for Dean Ambrose versus Jack Swagger. I'm sure it'll be okay, but yeah, whatever. But the story they built. This is something that AEW does well that WWE doesn't necessarily do as well, and that is peeling the curtain back the right way. That's not to say that WWE doesn't do great things, so because I'm not into this whole AEW versus WWE thing, if that's your style, whatever. I'm not into brand loyalty, I'm just into good wrestling, and I'll watch both, and I look forward to watching NXT as well this week. For me, the build of it, the way it was shot, it felt more real, it felt more organic. Talking about that fight at camp for Bellator. But the one thing that really stood out to me was when Jon Moxley said, that DDT, that Dirty Deeds that I hit, that's put down everybody, the paradigm shift, whatever you want to call it. That's put down everyone. And then I give it to him, and he's up within 4 or 5 seconds, putting me in an ankle lock. What the hell is that about? Great stuff, great storytelling. Really enjoyed that, and also loved the build to this show's main event. Shawn Spears versus Cody. You're talking about two guys who are so good and so underrated every time on the microphone. Even now, I still feel that people don't understand just how good Cody Rhodes is on the microphone. He is something else. He's truly special. Shawn Spears, for me, the most underrated and underutilized, talent in the entire wrestling world. Now that Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee, who of course is in action here as well, now that he's kind of getting his fair rub of the mill, I feel like Shawn Spears, it's just a matter of time before he gets his turn, or at least I hope it will. They're building this tag team angle as well. Who will be his mystery partner? People can send videos in. I know Simon Miller. Why? That's why. Well done. Met him at a few shows. Lovely guy. He went viral with his video, and even Shawn Spears was really interested. He got hundreds of thousands of views, which is awesome. And of course, that played in nicely as well to the following match. Michael Nakazawa and Kenny Omega versus the Best Friends. Best Friends versus Best Friends, if you will. I'm not sold on Michael Nakazawa. There's nothing wrong with him. He's clearly a good worker. He's in good shape. He can wrestle. Gimmick just doesn't speak to me. It's not my cup of tea. I'm sure it is for some. He's very... for anyone who's watched DDT, which is a Japanese promotion, they're... how can I put this nicely? Because they're not a terrible promotion at all. They're actually excellent. But they're a lot more of a... fun time, hilarious promotion. That's fine, absolutely. I think there's room for everybody, and they do some great stuff. And God bless Chris Brooks is out there now, of course, British icon from the British wrestling scene and CCK. But I don't think he really matches. The problem with Nakazawa as well is that he always seems to be in and around the big stars. Obviously being Kenny's best friend. He's tagging with Kenny here, and I'm thinking, I understand that, because Hangman Page isn't there at the time, but, man, you think, this builds up to my argument again. They should not have put the tag titles on Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. And not just because, obviously, COVID-19, Hangman Page maybe not available to wrestle at these shows or whatever. That's got nothing to do with it. What it has to do with is the fact that it's disjointed, and then it's made worse with this situation as well. And it just feels like the tag team division is nowhere to be seen. We're getting great tag team matches. We had one last week. With Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears versus Cody and Darby Allin, building up this TNT Championship. They're doing a good job with that, but once again, the TNT Championship, right? I'm excited about that. The tournament looks good. Obviously, main event, Cody versus Shawn Spears, couldn't ask for more, but at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking, this TNT Championship, as much as I am excited about it, is also getting in the way of other titles. Tag team titles, nowhere to be seen. We're going to have to wait till next week to get a sign of the AEW Heavyweight Championship, which is fine. I get it. Empty arena. It's probably filmed, previous. They probably filmed it, which is why they've now moved off site, whatever. I know it's difficult, so I'm not going to critique too much, because I love this brand and I really enjoy it. And there's a reason I choose to watch this over NXT every week. Well, that and because I have a Fight TV subscription, so it's just easier that way. But I love this brand. I really do. I'm really, really thankful for this brand, and it gives me a complete change of pace. Because I like WWE, and I watch a lot of WWE too. But for me, I would like, sometimes I like something different. I like a different edge. I like a different look. And Dynamite brings that to me. But, my original point, running off on a tangent, is that Michael Nakazawa for me just doesn't fit in the position they think he does. He's a fine worker. I mean, he spent most of this match basically nutting people in the groin. I mean, if you're into a certain lifestyle, I'm sure that's great. But, yeah, no, just didn't really work for me. I enjoyed the match, though. The match was fine. It was a very good laugh. Orange Cassidy getting in the ring, being an absolute plank. And I think poor old Aubrey Edwards, she's just standing there going, what in fuck's name is going on? The spot that I really enjoyed was when Kenny and Nakazawa went to hug Orange Cassidy, and he just moved, and they're like, motherfucker. Actually furious that he moved. But I like the face versus face dynamic. There was plenty of comedy here. This would have been a great main event for a DDT show, but DDT, like I was saying earlier, more of a comedy-based Japanese promotion. And although I like comedy, and I think comedy has a great place in wrestling, I really enjoyed it when Nakazawa went for the double clothesline, for instance, and Best Friends just moved out of the way. He was presented as a bit of an idiot, but then at the same time, he's also Kenny Omega's best friend, and Kenny Omega's happy to tag with him, and Kenny Omega is supposed to be, in many people's eyes, the best wrestler in the world. And yet here he is with this Japanese loony with baby oil, and he's trying to spray everyone in the face with it. And I must admit, I did really enjoy the way he sprayed Orange Cassidy in the face, and then Orange Cassidy's like, shades, numbnuts. There were loads of great spots here. Also, the fact that he had another pair was fucking brilliant. And he's it just, there were great things here. I would have liked to have actually seen Nakazawa versus Orange Cassidy on his own. I think that would have had more benefit to me. But nonetheless, a fun match. Really enthralling, really exciting. I think Best Friends really building a nice level of work here as well. Trent had this amazing match with Kenny Omega last week. Kenny Omega powerbombing him into the pillar. There was so much athleticism involved. That alone was a fantastic match. And here we are again, Best Friends, going in there, putting in a hell of a shift, really working hard to make sure Nakazawa gets his fair share of offense and gets involved as well. Ultimately, I'm thrilled that Best Friends won this match, because well, I hark back to a tweet actually that Cyrus the Virus, aka Don Callis, aka every cool motherfucking manager under the sun, he tweeted out earlier today that a good tag team should always beat two good singles guys, irregardless of the combination, because of the sheer level of chemistry, and not only that, the fact that we're in a tag, you present this as an entirely different art form to a singles match. And Best Friends looked that way. Nakazawa, they presented this level of dysfunction, and Nakazawa getting his pants out, and I think it's called the Venom something. I don't want to know. Irregardless, it's not my cup of tea. I'm sorry to go all Aeron Cornet on you, but I thought this was a fucking joke. Not for me. Don't really like this whole nonsense. And people will hark back to mandible claw and all that. Well, he didn't take his fucking pants off to do it, and the sock was down there. And ultimately, the sock really only came through with Mick Foley because of that scene with Vince McMahon. So there was actually an idea of why it was done, not just because lol, make me taste your sweaty ball juice. That's basically what Nakazawa was doing. So the fact that Best Friends won is important to me. And they should do. And I like the fact that they're building them as well, because they are actually a really good tag team. Everyone finds them really funny. There was this big hug at the end with Orange Cassidy, which was great fun, and they're hilarious. And Chucky T has one of the best Twitters I've ever seen. The amount of nonsense he puts out there is so much fun to me. But for me, what really made this shine was the fact that these guys can really wrestle. They're really talented, supremely talented. They look great. They look the part, especially Trent. Trent is in phenomenal condition. Trent can go in any company, and we've seen that. The work he did in New Japan, working for so many different guys, he's just awesome. I love Trent. I think he's, again, another one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world. So good. And that's the great thing about AEW. They've got so many guys who at any point you feel could just break out and take over the company, or be the champion, or be the guy on the marquee. Trent cuts an amazing promo. He's just phenomenal. I absolutely adore him. Brody Lee had a little promo again. Every time I see Brody Lee now, I'm thinking he's going to take what cheap shots are going to take a Vinnie Mac now, because I can take a joke, because I'm not ultimately as triggered as a lot of you WWE fans. I love the WWE apologists. No, fucking, it's just childish, it's just stupid. Yeah, because WWE would never take shots at All Elite, Triple H, Hall of Fame. So, it is what it is. But I thought it was funny. This promo was a little less enthralling from that perspective. It was just him basically chastising two of his three followers for not being dressed well. Fair enough. I can just see Vince McMahon probably does that every day, but I'm sure this wasn't related to Vince McMahon. It's just him getting over this superior character, and I like this. I like the fact that he is just chastising and assaulting these goons because they are nobodies, and that works for me. I really, really appreciate that. And speaking of Brody Lee, he ran over some scrub. Who cares about the scrub? Let this be a lesson to you. I said this on Twitter, and I'm going to repeat this. When you are 6'4" plus, 350 pounds, which is what I am, we don't need to bump for you small people. Get to the back of the line, Sonny Jim. Food court now in session. Big boys get to eat first, and Brody Lee absolutely ate first here, just like Vince McMahon eats first as well. Don't you dare sneeze in my presence. Oh, I fucking love Brody Lee. Also, he was out there, right, for a minute, and he had a better match than most big guys in wrestling can have in that time. He's fucking brilliant. He knows how to sell at the right time. He knows how to bump at the right time, which ultimately is not very often at all, and that should always be the case. Again, need to reiterate that point. Lance Archer versus Brody Lee. You're going to give me what I want. I need it. I need that match. It's going to be fucking awesome. My body is ready for Archer versus Lee. Oh, the Roberts stable. Bit of Jake the Snake Roberts stable. Versus the Dark Order, sir. Bit of darkness. Bit more darkness on the other side, sir. Suit you, sir. Sorry, but it needs to be done. For anyone who's watched the Fast Show, you'll get what I mean. And anyone who hasn't watched the Fast Show, well, you're dead to me. It's as simple as that, really. This Dynamite has... it just had a little bit of everything for me. Can we please talk about how good, by the way, Matt Hardy's promo was? Oh, my God. So, coronavirus, right, has been one hell of a fucking bitch to all of us. I myself are now starting to struggle with issues involved around it, and we watched WrestleMania on the weekend. Now, WrestleMania was great for the most part, mostly day 2. Day 1, not so great, except for the main event. Now, what's the 2 biggest talking points from WrestleMania? Undertaker versus AJ Styles, Boneyard match, and then John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, in a Firefly Funhouse match. Why do you think that is? This is an empty arena time. We just got to deal with that. We just got to accept we're not going to have a huge amount of fans, although AEW certainly did pretty well with the amount of people they had watching this one. Wow, I was very impressed. Also, some people not adhering to the social distancing nearly as well as they should, but I've got to be honest when it comes down to it. That's their choice, not mine. But Matt Hardy, right? So I've mentioned a Boneyard match and a Firefly Funhouse. Those were easily the 2 most exciting and also spoken about matches of the WrestleMania weekend. Both of those took place off-site. Off-site wrestling, pre-recorded, these highly publicised, well-published matches, they are fucking money when they're done properly. And you know who the real innovator... Now, people are saying like, oh, The Undertaker's been doing this for years, the Boiler Room match. The Boiler Room Brawl with Mankind was great, don't get me wrong, but that's not really an off-site match. You know, it's still part of the arena, so to speak. The first guys to really take wrestling proper, I mean, unless you want to talk about the King of the Road match, please not. But the first guys to get high production, okay, and there's a key point there, high production level wrestling, off-site, completely, and a scenario where you would not expect to see wrestlers. The first guys who truly did that were the Hardys in Impact, okay? People are out here talking about how, fucking Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is, in a way, highly responsible for everything you saw from last weekend. And of course he won't get the credit he deserves because WWE, big sweaty fuck you to everybody involved. But they were fantastic, and there's no question that WWE is able to improve upon the format because of the level of production and money at their disposal. And absolutely, they deserve a lot of credit too, because both of those matches were utterly, utterly awesome in every sense. Now then, you have Matt Hardy in AEW. You saw what happened last week with Chris Jericho. Easily the best segment of Dynamite last week. Spliced into some amazing wrestling was this astonishing off-site nonsense. Vanguard won, the dogs, the pool scene. It was fucking money. So what did they do? They follow up this week. Once again, Matt Hardy at his humble, Hardy compound. Phenomenal stuff. Vanguard 1 comes to visit him, brings him his own t-shirt. He's screaming about how his t-shirt's better. He refers to Chris Jericho, Le Champion, as Le As of Hall. It's fucking money for me. I know some people don't like it, and this is where I can lay claim to not quite being Aeron Cornette, as so many people like to think of me as. Yes, there are certain things I don't like, but how can you not enjoy this? It's so funny, it's so entertaining, and also it's so legit and viable, because we know Matt Hardy can work with the best of them. I love the fact he's been wanting to do something entirely different. This is fucking money for me. I enjoy it so much, so much. Every time he speaks, I'm entertained. Every time I see one of these off-camera segments, these, or should I say, off-site segments, I get so excited because I know I'm going to get something original, completely unique that's never been done before. Every single segment feels organic, feels real. It just works, and I adore it. I absolutely love it. This kind of stuff, especially in this current climate with COVID-19 and the way it is, this kind of stuff is what is going to hold these brands together. Because let's be honest, WrestleMania was great, but if we didn't have the Boneyard match and we didn't have that Firefly Funhouse in their inception, they just had normal matches, I don't think we would have really felt the same way about WrestleMania. And we sure as hell don't feel the same way about AEW and Matt Hardy unless he's doing these kind of things. Matt Hardy just turns up as, hey, I'm just the Hardy boy, the legend, and he wrestles. Sure, he'll draw a certain amount, but this will draw more. This will. For the most part, I think hokey shit doesn't draw. Not nearly as much as people think it does, but this does because it's effected the right way. Pre-tape stuff, because you can clean it up in the edit, you can make it just look the way you want it to look. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, and it was just a simple little side promo. More of this every week. Utterly, utterly phenomenal. Your main event, the first quarterfinal in the TNT Championship Series. Oh, yeah. Cody Rhodes with his ridiculously stunning wife. Well done, sir. The Brandalorian, Brandy Rhodes, versus Shawn Spears, my boy, the chairman of AEW. Once again, Mr. Woefully underappreciated and overlooked at so often and so many a time. He was for so long in WWE, and even now in AEW it feels like he is too. However, this is 2 weeks running that Shawn Spears has been in a main event. So I have to eat my words a little bit, and I'm thrilled about that because Shawn Spears, for me, I can just hear Steve, my co-host, just going absolutely ape at this point, but Shawn Spears is so ridiculously underrated. I do not agree with a large amount of people who say that he's not very good or that he can't draw. I disagree entirely. I think he's got an incredible look. You know, he's a very handsome man. He's a very powerful man. He's got a great physique. He's got a great look. I like the hairstyle. I like the contacts when he uses them. I just love the setup. And on the flip side of things, Cody, he has become a megastar. He was a star in WWE, a smaller star, it has to be said, a star just fucking hell. But he has just catapulted himself, and the selfless nature of the way he wrestles, even when he wins matches, he gets his opponents over. He was able to go out there and make magic with Darby Allin. I don't think it's any surprise that Darby Allin, who was already going to be a megastar, it's no surprise that he catapulted further after he had that 20-minute time limit draw with Cody. I want to say Fight for the Fallen or Fyter Fest. It was one of those. I can't remember. But I do remember it being an incredible match. And that 20, coffin drop on the hardest part of the ring. What more could you ask for? Jesus Christ, you insane bastard. But everyone who Cody's got in the ring with, whether that be MJF, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, the first match at AEW Dynamite, I was there to see it in Washington. It was absolutely incredible. Every single person that he's wrestled, and now Shawn Spears, they all look so much better coming out of it. It could be argued that Shawn Spears actually is the only person who really didn't get the rub afterwards. He had that. I thought that match was really good, and he clattered him with that whopper chair shot in the build-up, and they did so much work to build that match going into the pay-per-view. They were attacking each other on the indies. And sadly, it just didn't really snowball after that. Shawn Spears should have done more. Shawn Spears had it just feels like he's the everyman. He's the journeyman guy. He's the guy you stick in there, to help other guys out when you haven't got anything for them, like Joey Janela or Sammy Guevara, whoever it may be. And I want to see more from him. I really do. I think he deserves to be in this. I think this tournament, to be honest, was tailor-made for him. The TNT Championship, the mid-card belt, the belt that pretty much anybody can go for at any time. They want to make it feel prestigious. There's a very unique mix of talent involved. Obviously, they're a little bit hamstrung because certain talents obviously can't be involved. But with, the current climate, and with people like Pac not being around and not being able to get involved, Hangman Page doesn't seem to be involved as much at the moment, Young Bucks as well, quite a lot of other guys. This is an opportunity for someone like Shawn Spears, who, look at the way he was running around the ringside, getting in the face of the faces. I loved it when he shoved Billy Gunn, and Billy Gunn's like, fuck you, just shoves it back. He's like, don't shove me. It's little stuff like that, throwing a cot, throwing a chair in the ring. He just has something about him that for me is woefully underappreciated. But him and Cody have got great magic together. They just work beautifully. Everything, the smoothness of it, the transitions. I thought this was an excellent match. There was so much about this match that really jumped out at me. I loved the physicality of it, the meat and potatoes. The commentary from Jericho, by the way, was utter, and I do mean utter, gold in every sense. Oh my God. Calling Sugar Duncan Pineapple Pete when he got involved. Fucking amazing. Calling out Cody's mum as well. He's like, I'm gonna slap you in the face. It's so fucking funny, honestly. Chris Jericho needs to be on comms every week. He's absolute fucking gold. Like I say, last week he was the highlight. This week he was, release the hounds, the dogs. He's on comms this week, slagging off Cody's mom. He's just amazing. Every time I think, Chris Jericho might be slowing down, no, he just evolves further. He is godlike in terms of talking. I genuinely believe he might be getting close to the greatest of all time. There's been great talkers. You think about Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and Jake the Snake Roberts and Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair. These guys all were able to cut incredible promos, but nobody's been able to do it with the longevity and the originality and the fresh content that a Chris Jericho has. He's like the ultimate chat show host. Every single fucking night he's got different fucking material. He's got a level of charisma which you cannot teach. It was absolutely amazing. And, you know, he added to this match. He made it feel even better. Cody and Shawn Spears were going to have a great match anyway, but he goes out there and he just delivered more. Him and Schiavone were just so much fun together. I really enjoyed it. And ultimately, Shawn Spears, yeah, he lost, but he looked strong. It was a little bit disappointing in some ways. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of this over-the-top finishing. So he puts Cody for a table, and then Cody comes back from that. It almost felt like they were trying to make Cody look too strong, and they don't need to do that when they're in that position. So the table bump was a little bit OTT for me, as is this whole double finisher. Like, I get the concept of it, that he's enraged and that, you know, he wants to make sure his opponent stays down, but it didn't work. He hit him twice with it and he still kicked out from Crossroads, and then he beat him with a... No, I like the fact he beat him with a figure four. I think that's very cool. The fact that he pinned him with a figure four, because he was, you know, Shawn Spears was in so much pain he couldn't kick out. That's one of those things that can go either way. You might be there to say, well... you know, he should be smarter than that, his characters, you know. But he'd already been hit with two finishers, so that made more sense. So from that perspective, that's excellent storytelling. It's just me nitpicking personally, but yeah, I would like to see him stop using his finisher twice. You know, if everybody did that, it would just look a bit silly. It's good as a gimmick to a certain extent, but it kind of waters down the premise of your finish. But hey, Cody moves on. I think it's pretty fucking obvious it's going to be Cody versus Archer in the main event. Maybe Jake Roberts is going to get involved. I'd like to see Archer win the TNT Championship first. I think that's a great idea. I think the title always looks better on a heel, simply because I think it's always better for chasing. A little part of me, has a sneaking suspicion this is going to be Cody's kind of MO. He's going to be like John Cena was as US champion in WWE, doing the open challenge, but much better in my opinion, in the sense of he's going to have that title and try and get as many guys over with it as possible, having great matches, and he's going to be the guy who goes out and has the great 20-30 minute match every week. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I always like it when the title is on a heel, because faces can chase, and faces make for better chasers. You know, when faces already have the belt, you know, we've seen this with Becky Lynch, we've seen this with John Cena, we've seen this with Roman Reigns, we've seen this with so many guys. We're even starting to see this with Jon Moxley a little bit already. Once the face has reached the top of the mountain, there's nowhere really to go but down. You know, because a heel has so many more layers to their character. Sting is one of the very few exceptions of that from WCW. And for me, I would like to see a heel have that title first. But what an episode of AEW Dynamite. You know, as we move towards wrapping things up here, I thought it was a fantastic episode. Every week I'm sitting now, I've seen what NXT has on offer tonight. The ladder match and the, obviously, yet another banger, I'd imagine, from Gargano and Ciampa. And a little part of me thought, well, the only reason I don't watch NXT, truthfully, is because it's not available on a network to us in the UK until the day after, which is kind of infuriating. So we normally wait, or I catch a stream of it, whatever it may be. I watch AEW Dynamite on Fight TV, and it's available to me live. That's why I watch AEW Dynamite live. And a part of me thought, oh man, like this Dynamite looks good, but is it going to match up? But then you throw in the fact that the quality of wrestling is the best. It is the best quality of wrestling week to week you can get in terms of athleticism. And then you factor in, I'm not saying sports entertainment, because WWE has that market pretty well done and nobody's touching things like the Boneyard match, let's be honest. But from a purely athletic standpoint, I think AEW provides the best product, at least the English-speaking North American Western world product, because NJPW is so good at the athleticism side of things. And then you factor in the hilarity of the characters. Chris Jericho on comms, the brilliance of the off-site production from people like Matt Hardy and Jake the Snake Roberts, the promo quality as well. They've got so many good promo guys, from Cody to Kenny Omega, who's coming through, but Jericho leading that pack. Moxley is a good promo. Jake Roberts, he's arguably the innovator and excellence of execution, to borrow from Bret Hart, when it comes to talking. He is one of the greatest promos of all time that a lot of people don't refer to as the greatest promos of all time because everyone's so enamoured with other guys, and rightfully so, people like The Rock and Austin and that, but Jake Roberts was really the innovator of what a promo was, and he was the first guy to really take darkness in promos. I know there are other guys. Kevin Sullivan did quite a good job in AWA, and I think it was NWA and that, and there were so many other guys I could name and sit here and talk about, but for me, Jake Roberts is right up there and still, to this day, providing a level of excellence. It was awesome. It was so much fun, and in a time that's so difficult for everyone, and like we've said, we are open, we are available 24/7 to try and help people out. If you listen to this before 9:30 UK time, 4:30 Eastern time in the United States, this Thursday coming, which will be the 9th of April, this video is actually dropping early in that morning. We're going to be doing a live watch along on Twitter for the first ever WCW Nitro. So if you've got the network or you can find a copy of it, let us know. But 9:30 on the dot, boom, off we go, and we'll be doing a little live watch along, just something to give people a bit of entertainment. Shout out to the Bang Bang podcast. It's their idea, and we've just basically said, hey, do you mind if we kind of use that idea too and garner more interest and, you know, sort of combine our powers, because ultimately wrestling is a community and wrestling is for everyone, and there's plenty to go around, and we are dedicated to trying to help you guys through COVID-19, and AEW did just that themselves tonight. Absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much, AEW. You are making me laugh. You are keeping me entertained in the most difficult times. I myself personally am having a lot of difficult times right now, which I can't really divulge, but this kind of thing keeps me ticking over, keeps me going, keeps me looking forward to that following Wednesday. It just makes me believe that there's something there, you know, to give me a smile, to help people out when things get difficult, and my hope is to parlay a lot of that energy into what WrestlePlug is doing. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed my not so quick fire, in-depth review of AEW Dynamite this week. If you like it, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. Have you got wrestling friends who maybe aren't aware that we've got a YouTube channel yet? And they would like a candid and honest opinion from myself, maybe, and a little bit of singing, if you know what I mean. Well, please make sure you spread the word of the WrestlePlug and let them know that we are one big family. Everybody is welcome on board. Everyone is welcome to leave their comments, get involved. Let us know underneath in the comments what you would like to hear from us, what you would like to see from us going forward. But most importantly, please stay safe, wash your hands, shut your ass, as Chris Jericho would say, and just look after each other. Love your families, check in on your loved ones, make sure that you keep an open communication always, and most importantly, please adhere to the guidelines, be safe, because in the short term it will help us survive and it will benefit us more for the long term future. Until then, I've been Aeron Nix. Thank you very much. Don't forget, hit the bell notification, hit that bell icon so you can get notifications on all our videos going forward, and most importantly, be safe out there.